Have you ever met someone and you just know right away that you are going to become great friends with this person? Well, that is exactly how I felt when I met today's guest. I have Kristen Higdon from All That Teacher Sparkle on the show today, and we had such a fun conversation about student engagement that I'm sure you are going to enjoy. Our conversation was so good that when I was listening to it after we recorded, I realized how long it was because there were so many great tips and ideas that I actually decided to split it into two episodes. So today you will be introduced to Kristen, and then next week we will pick up right where we leave off at the end of this episode. Kristen was a classroom third through fifth grade reading teacher for almost 20 years. Her goal was always to create a comfortable environment where students felt loved and supported, yet also instill in them a desire to learn. She used unique teaching methods and creative lessons to capture her students' interest and help them grow into more confident readers. Currently, she is helping teachers regain their love of teaching by writing blog posts featuring her favorite classroom ideas and creating resources that teach standards in a fun way. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former fifth grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. Hello, Kristen. Welcome to the show. Please tell my audience a little bit about you and how you serve the education community.
Well, hey, Dana. Thank you for having me, first of all. My name is Kristen Higdon, and I taught for the better part of 20 years in a departmentalized third, fourth, or fifth grade reading classroom. Sometimes I taught more than one grade level at one time. So that was interesting, teaching third, fourth, and fifth grade reading in the same year. But I left the classroom in July 2020 to homeschool my kids. And honestly, wow, did I miss kids. And so I ended up teaching on OutSchool. So that kind of helped, fill that void. But I really, really miss the camaraderie of working with other teachers too. So I just wondered, like, how could I help my friends who I kind of felt I had left behind a little bit. And so I started blogging all of my favorite things that I used to do in the classroom. And I just channeled my creativity into kind of making unique resources that either I had used in my own classroom or that I would have used and wish I had when I was. And so I also just like really wanted to encourage teachers because I know what a difficult job it is. And when I left, it was pandemic. It was like after all the closures and stuff. And so wow, I knew that it had to be even harder then. So I just really wanted to encourage teachers. And so I'm excited to be here today. And I hope that maybe I can help spark some new ideas for teachers who are listening.
Absolutely. So you left the classroom a little bit before I did. So I did teach through the pandemic and it was very difficult. And I have to say I would have loved to have some of your ideas and resources at that time. So and I'm excited to have you here today. So I know that you are very passionate about student engagement. So talk to us a little bit about why this is such a passion of yours.
Well, I think being a teacher in the classroom, you, especially fourth grade, upper elementary, you have kids who hate school. And either they didn't hate school in pre-K, kindergarten, and as they've gone on, they've started hating school, or something has happened to them to make them hate it. And so by the time they get to me in fourth grade, I mean, they know if they love it or hate it. And if they hate school and they are miserable coming every day, you have an uphill battle. And it is not going to be easy for you to help them learn and grow. And in a lot of cases, managing their behavior is a nightmare because they are not happy. And some kids, really act
Absolutely.
out
Mhm,
when they're not happy.
mhm.
So I just felt like if I want my kids to learn and grow, and I do because I want them to be successful in the years ahead, then I have got to do the very best job that I can do. And that is that's going to include making learning fun and engaging as much as possible so that they will hopefully start to enjoy school. And honestly, they're going to try harder for you and the assignments that you want them to do because they are having fun. So my goal is to by the end of hopefully not even by the end of the school year, hopefully just a few weeks in, a few days in, you can start to take those I hate school kids and just change their minds so that they are actually happy or happier to come to school, and so that way they'll also be more successful at school because it is definitely possible to turn those kids around. I've seen it happen and it just reaffirms what I'm doing. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing because it's working. And honestly, this sounds a little dramatic, but I mean you're really changing their lives. So
Oh, yeah,
that's why I do what I do.
absolutely. Absolutely. And upper elementary is such an impressionable age, so that what you're right, whenever you do have those kids that come in and they just have that mindset of I just hate school and they're miserable and that causes the behavior issues and it honestly makes your life harder and more of a struggle and all of the kids around them. So I love that you have a passion for creating that engagement and a passion for helping kids to overcome that battle. So I love that. So, what types of unique teaching methods did you use when you were in the classroom to engage your students?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you can tell this about me, but I'm a little theatrical, I'm a little dramatic.
I
And
love
so
it.
I just, well, I kind of feel like a classroom is sort of like, it's like a stage. It's like
Oh,
being on a
absolutely.
stage, you're performing for an audience. So I kind of treat every activity like it's the most amazing thing ever.
I
Like,
love it.
the kids are, what are you going to do? What are we doing today? And I was like, I don't know, we may just have to solve a mystery. Or, I don't
Oh,
say we're going to do an inference worksheet, I
uh
was like,
huh.
oh, we're going to have to look at clues and solve a mystery. Just the way that I approach talking about what we're going to do makes it sound maybe better than it really is,
I
or
love
at
that.
least more exciting.
I love it.
So,
Mm.
yeah, everything is more dramatic than it has to be. But I also love using music and body movements. Um, uh, Honestly, like if I see kids like sitting in the classroom with their, fists on their chins and they're half asleep, like that's not what I want my classroom to look like. And so when I see that happening, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to get up and do something. So we'll take a brain break or something like that. But I often use music and body movements just like for teaching, like in my lessons. So one time, I don't know, several years ago, I had to teach being verbs. Oh, so, and I love teaching grammar, but the kids were like, yay, being verbs, super.
Uh-huh.
But you've got to learn what the being verbs are. So, like, I just on the spot made up this cha cha where we had to like cha cha back and forth. I don't really cha cha, but I was
I
like, let's just
love
pretend
it.
like we can. And
Yes,
so
I
we
love
would,
it.
yeah, we just sort of like took the list from our book and like M is our was were, be being been cha cha, have has
I
had, do
love
does
it.
did. Oh yeah. And of course the oh yeah was their favorite part. But
Uh-huh.
we did that every day for like a week and they learned their being verbs. And we
Oh
had
my
so much
goodness.
fun.
And you
It was
just
great.
thought of it on the spot. That is so awesome. I love it.
Well, it's yeah, just like putting even like rhythmic reading can like at least make it a little less boring.
Mhm.
But like we would do word wall every day. And so like after the kids had learned the words, or at least knew what they meant, like we would sing. And so I made up this song. Uh So we would like step side to side and we'd say, come on, read those words. Let's read them. Ooh, ooh. Come on, read those words. Our word wall words. Come on, read those words. Let's read them. Ooh, ooh. Come on, read those words. Our word wall words. And we
I
would
love it.
read the words off the wall. And girl, you could hear us down the hallway. Like
Oh, that is so
everybody
awesome. All right. So when are
loved
you
it.
moving to Arkansas so we can teach together?
Oh, I would love to teach with you. I have a couple of friends in Arkansas, so I think you might all get on board or something. I don't
That is
know.
awesome. I
But
love
yeah,
it.
it's so fun. And like kids who do not want to read will sing words off the wall to that song, and I love it. And I've come up with a couple other songs that I'll spare you, but just like with word wall, we either sing our words or whatever, and it's just so much fun. So we do that. And of course, I'm really big on competition, but I'm not like
Mm,
competitive kid against kid. It is
mm-hmm.
always like them against me. And I'm
Love it.
like, sometimes if we're doing like, I mean, it could be simple as like wacky tacky day. I will tell the
Love
kids
it.
the day before, no one is going to out wacky tacky me. I guarantee it. And
I
so
love
like
it.
the kids will go home and they are crazy about making sure they're really wacky because they want to beat me. And of course they'll come in and I'll brag about how great they look, but I still think I'm wackier,
That is so funny. So I have to
So we
ask
do that.
for Wacky Tacky Day, did you warn your co-teachers that you were doing that or did you just show up that day?
Oh, it was like a planned school-wide thing.
Like a
So I
school,
didn't
okay,
just like
okay. Not just
randomly,
you
like
and
Dr.
your
Seuss
class.
week or
Okay. That's
so yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
Okay,
It's so
that
much
is so
fun.
funny.
But and sometimes things are not always going to be the most fun. And so sometimes I'll
Mhm.
say, okay, we're gonna do like a grammar sheet today. And I know you think it's gonna be boring. And sometimes things are boring, but we can get through it together. Like we can do hard things. So I just try to like have a positive attitude, even if, the kids are like, oh, like, I know I don't want to pay my bills either. It's super boring, but I have to do it. And I do it every month. We're okay. So I
I
kind of
love
just
it.
like bring a positive spin and try to,
Yes.
you know, do that. But and honestly, just bragging on my kids. Like I openly brag and I am free with my bragging. Like, if there are kids who are working really hard, I will name them. I'll be like, oh my gosh, do you see Danna? Like she's amazing today. Like she has not stopped looking at me all day. And I just like brag on that. And of course, immediately everybody else is like,
Oh, yes,
staring, you know?
absolutely. Yes, they
So we
want to be the
just,
star. Mhm,
yes. And honestly,
mhm,
I make them the star. When we
mhm.
do word wall, I tell my kids, I'm looking for my word wall superstar. And I will just like, when it's over, like, and everybody has been like staring at me the whole time and saying their words and doing whatever, I will pick one person. Oh my gosh, I had like four people that were so amazing and everybody was so good. Like, but this one person just blew me away and I cannot even with how awesome they are. And so, like, they get to write their name on the board under my word wall superstar. And then the next day, they get to hold the pointer and they get to be the one that kind of ends word wall by pointing at the words and the whole class has to read what they point to. So
I
it's
love
just
that. So
positive brag on them.
yes, so I have to ask, I only spent my time in 5th grade. I didn't go any other grade level.
Uh-huh.
So what would you say about like doing something like that, like bragging on them with the superstar? Did you see that happening, like, or that working for them as 5th graders? Or was that more of like third, fourth, or lower?
Honestly, it it does absolutely still work with fifth grade. You have to gauge your group. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
some some fifth grade groups are they feel younger than
Mm-hmm.
other fifth grade groups. So the groups as a whole, like if they just feel a little younger, then I can be super hokey, right? Like I
Mm-hmm.
can be like,
Mm-hmm.
you're the word wall, winner, woohoo. If it's like I don't know, more mature, like less impressed, like more middle schooly feeling at this point, especially, the end of fifth grade, it starts to
Yes.
shift after Christmas. Um,
Yes.
but it definitely still works. I'm just a little less. I'm more chill
Uh-huh.
about it instead of
Uh-huh.
like, about,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah,
makes
because
any sense.
yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. Because I've always considered going down in grade level, and
Hmm.
so I just kind of was curious about that. So that is so cool. All of those ideas are so fun and exciting and positive. I love the positivity. So, in what ways did you use your classroom environment to motivate students and increase learning and engagement?
Well, first of all, I actually took care of, like you said, the physical environment. So the first thing I did every single morning was I turned on my lamps and not my overhead lights. And if I did have to turn on my overhead lights, I either had like those filter screens over top, or I had my janitor come and like unscrew two of the light bulbs so that only two worked and the other two didn't. And so that kind of softens it just a bit. Don't
I
tell anybody I said
love
that, but
that. I know, right? Yeah, that's a secret.
that's a secret between us. But yeah, just that lowered lighting. It helps me, but it also helps my kids because that fluorescent light depletes the serotonin in their brains, and that leads to a lack of focus, lots of fidgeting, and actual physical stress. Even if like kids don't realize it, their brains are physically stressed from their lack of serotonin. So yeah,
I
we
did
don't
not know
do
that.
a lot of,
Wow.
yeah, and I didn't know that until
Mhm.
Dr. Fritz Mengert. I actually worked with him for several years on brain-based learning, and that was one of the first things he taught us. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's why I get headaches every
Wow.
day at school because of the fluorescent
Wow.
lighting.
That
So
is
yeah,
crazy.
that's first thing I changed. And then the other thing I do is I to create that peaceful environment is I play relaxing music from the time I walk in the door till the time I leave. I don't turn it off while I'm teaching. I don't turn it off while the kids are working. I turn it super low. And honestly, like every kid has to be like, no talking, everybody's listening before you can even hear the music. So it's just like very, very low. And you can play, just like regular, calm, relaxing music. They have it all over YouTube, but Baroque music, composers like Bach, Handel, Vivaldi, playing that music in the background while you're teaching actually causes the brain to search for patterns in the music, leading to more focus. So I know that sounds super crazy, but that's another one of those cool brain things that I learned from Dr. Menkert.
That is
And
awesome.
it's incredible. Like just turning off my lights, turning on the music completely changed my classroom with literally the flip of a switch, right?
Wow,
So
wow, yeah.
it's amazing. And so that's what I start, just the calm atmosphere. Students feel safe, they're ready to learn because not every kid is coming to school having had a good morning, a good night. So
Absolutely. Mhm,
if they are in flight or fight mode, then they're not going to learn like they should. They physiologically cannot.
mhm.
So definitely start there. But I also love my soft spaces within my classroom, rugs and pillows. My last classroom, I even had a couch. It was dreamy. I had a couch, and my kids love to work there, and they know that it is a privilege to get to go there. So not every teacher they've had in the past has done that. So this is like a big deal. And so they can go to their space place. We have like a at the beginning of the year, they get to pick their space place. So all I have to do is say, go to your space place. There's no arguing, there's no fighting because it is theirs only and nobody else can have it, right? So we do the space place for private work. I also have I just create these areas in my room. I'll take bookshelves and I'll butt them together to make a little corner. I position my furniture to create separate spaces. And obviously, you got to still be able to keep eyes on kids. So
Yes.
that can be a little tricky, but that they love it. They love it because
Yeah.
they feel
Oh,
like they're
absolutely.
kind of on their own.
I love that.
But also, when I'm teaching, students are at desks unless they can't see. And that's the rule that I established the very first day. If you cannot see where I'm at and where you're at, you can get up and move without asking permission. Like, this is my permission right now for
Mhm.
you for the entire year. As long as nobody else can hear you and I can't hear you, you have little ninja feet, then bring your stuff and come sit down. And they're amazing at it. Like,
I
they know
love
they can get up
that.
if they can't see. So there's no like, oh, I can see, so I couldn't pay attention. No,
Mhm.
you can move anywhere and
Mhm.
sit where you can see, and it alleviates that roadblock, I guess. And when we're working, like if it's something we have to cut and glue, sure, we stay at tables. But if it's something that like they could do somewhere else, they can choose. They can stay at their table, they can go to their space plays. Sometimes I just let them sit with partners just to be with partners, because
Mhm.
you just need that some days. But
Absolutely. I love that. Those are all such great tips for classroom management, really, and, building in that positivity, and I love it, and feeling safe. I love it. Love it. Love it. So, talk a little bit about how using these teaching methods can help the mindset of teachers and reignite a passion that may be dwindling due to the pressure that is placed on teachers.
oh wow. Okay. So when you're in the classroom for almost 20 years, not every year is going to be the same. Not every year is going to be amazing. Some really stink for lots of
Yes.
different reasons.
Mhm.
And when I first went into the classroom, I was so excited and I couldn't wait. And my first year was a nightmare for lots of
Oh.
different reasons, but I'm sure everybody says that. But I mean, mine was literally a nightmare. And
Mhm.
I had a principal who was literally telling me I was a terrible teacher. And
Oh.
she said, you don't do anything like the other first grade teachers do. Like, why do you not do little apple theme units? And why are you not doing little bear units? And I'm like, because I'm not a bear apple person. I'm sorry. Like I have other things that I'm doing. Did you see those? But of course I didn't say that. But so basically the entire year it was I felt I was inferior because I was made to feel that way and I should be fitting in and being like everybody else. And so I was miserable. And of course, I didn't stay at that school. All right. So the next year, when I was in a different school, I also went to fifth grade actually. And I was scared to be
Mm.
myself. But I was in a departmentalized setting and I was teaching social studies and writing and grammar and I didn't have anybody else to be like. So, and I also took
Mhm.
over from another teacher who was very, very ill. And so I didn't really know what I was doing. So I just kind of made it up as I went along. And natural survival was me being me, right? So,
Right.
my teachers that I taught with were like, you are so creative. We love this. My principal started, like, you're amazing. I love this idea. How did you come up with that? I did not have that for my first year. So as I started, like people telling me I was doing great, then I started feeling better, obviously. Um, but I just realized that it was okay for me to be who I naturally was. My students loved what I was doing because they hadn't had that before. They hadn't seen it before. And because my students loved what we did each day, it almost became a challenge for me to see, okay, how different, how unique can I be? How can I wow these kids so that they won't forget what it is that we have done this year? And so honestly, I just closed my door and was like, let's do it. Let's do what I want to do. And I did.
I
So
love it.
yeah, and it's just like through all of that, I just learned it doesn't matter like what other people think about you. You have to do what you know is right. And you don't have to do everything by the book or like how everybody else does it. You can be you and add your personality to how you teach your lessons, and you will automatically love teaching more because it's natural to you. But this is like everybody says, well, I don't get to teach what I want to teach. I have this boxed math curriculum or I have this boxed reading curriculum and I hate it. And honestly, I'm not going to name names, but my last 2 years in the classroom, I hated the reading curriculum that I was
Mhm.
forced to teach. And
Mhm.
but even in that, I decided I was still going to do things my way. Okay, I may have to teach this, but I can add to that lesson. I can take a little bit of time away from that lesson to do something that teaches the same thing, but is just more developmentally appropriate or helpful to my struggling readers. Um, and I can change how I present that curriculum to be more me. So I don't know, I may have just like like hurt some people's feelings or something. I don't know, but I just feel like, teaching is hard enough on its own. And so if you're miserable, then you're just it's not fair to you. So do what you need to do to make that box curriculum more you. So I don't know if
Absolutely.
that was
So
okay to say,
I'm
but I
like,
just said it.
I'm just sitting here nodding my head because I was in the exact same boat. My last few years, first we did a pilot of a curriculum, and then the district adopted the curriculum, and I was not happy
Mhm.
with it. And that was just kind of a big downward spiral. And I didn't have as good of an attitude as you, as you have
Well,
had.
I didn't say
Um,
I had a good attitude.
I was not happy and just kind of, I don't know. So it kind of all spiraled, and now I've created my own curriculum. So that is kind of where how that happened, you know? So, but I totally get that. And you have inspired me for if and when I do go back to the classroom, that there are ways, and it is a reality that you can make the boxed curriculum work for you. I love that. So I appreciate that. This is where I decided to cut the episode so that we can pick up next week. Be sure to check out the links in the show notes at upperelementarysimplified.com/episode 63, so you don't have to wait until next week to connect with Kristen. I want to invite you back here next week, same time, same place, as I wrap up my interview with Kristen. Next week's interview starts right out of the gate with such a fun and engaging moment from Kristen's time in the classroom. You definitely won't want to miss it. I also want to encourage you to check out Dog Days Digest for more great reading, watching, and listening as you're relaxing by the pool. You can also find the link for that in the show notes. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.